We're doing things a little differently today. I started with just a 5-minute meditation, but we're going to do the Dharma talk and then another meditation following the Dharma talk, because the meditation relates to the Dharma talk. Hi, Beth. Hi, Michelle. Okay, so mixing things up a little bit today. So I think that if we were to look at our society as a whole, we would find that there's a lot of loneliness, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of unworthiness, a lot of despair, a lot of fear. I'm not 100% these things, but a lot of it. And if we were then to look at it and say, well, what's missing from our society? What I think we could say what's missing is love. And not romantic love, not love that comes with attachment or love that comes with conditions that, well, I'll love you as long as you only love me, or I'll love you as long as you make me happy. Not that type of love. The love that I'm talking about, meaning no separation. So really seeing the world, seeing people, seeing everything arising, not discretely as individual entities. So not like a me over here and then you're all over there, but really this seeing that trillions of conditions have come together, and there is just this moment that each and every one of us, including the weather, including the internet connection, including all of these things, are inextricably a part of. That there is no separation. And while we do all have a unique viewpoint, whatever it is that's moving all of this, we could call it lifing, whatever it is that's moving all of this, it is the same thing. It's as if we're looking at the ocean and we see one wave just starting to form, and then you see another wave that's more formed, and then you see another wave that's about to crash into the shore. While the waves appear separate, we know that the waves are simply the ocean moving. That there is the same substance throughout. There's no separation, no distinction. And this is the same where it is for us. There are these unique viewpoints that we have as Eric, as Beth, as Michelle, as Meredith, and yet the substance of whatever it is that's moving this is the same. But we don't see this, and we sure as heck do not feel this, because what we feel is very separate. We feel separate from each other, we feel separate from ourselves. There is this underlying sense that we carry with us that there's always something missing. I'm lacking in some way, right? And we're always trying to fill this aching hole inside of us. We're trying to fill it with things. We're trying to fill it with food. We're trying to fill it with praise, with success, right? We're constantly trying to fill it, but it never gets filled. And there's a Latin phrase, sine caritate. I might be saying that completely wrong. I think it's kind of right. And what it means is without love. And how I came across this phrase, it was actually referencing some Christian teachers that have been reframing the word sin from breaking the rules, the original sin that man is born with. And they've been reframing it to sine caritate, meaning without love, separate from love. And what they would, in the religious terminology, they would say separate from God's love. And so if you then start looking through all of the things, all of our deeds, all of our thoughts, all of our words, all of our actions, through this lens of sine caritate, without love, separate from love, all the judging that we do of ourselves and others, the gossiping, the criticizing ourselves, the the stinginess that we can have at times when we don't want to let someone go in front of us in line, when clearly they have one item and we have a full basket, or we don't want to let someone go in front of us on the freeway, or we're just not willing to give a smile to the barista that smiles at us. It's very clear that all of those acts are separate from love. There's a sense of separateness from love. And if we add up all of those individual acts, it's very clear that our society has this sense of separateness from connection, from belonging, from love. And this is what we do every week. We look at this sense of separateness, the belief that I am an independent, inherent, separate self, and that if I am an independent, inherent, separate self, I am lacking in some way. I'm lacking connection. I'm lacking belonging. I'm lacking love. And yet the reality is that we're not lacking anything. We're not lacking connection. We're not lacking love. We're not lacking belonging. But the belief is that we are. And so this is what we are doing each week. We bring teachings, and I'm trying to point us in different ways to look at this. And we have practices, we have mindfulness, we have self-compassion, we have self-inquiry. All of these teachings, all of these practices to help us see through this illusion of separateness. And we have been doing this so long, believing that we are separate, that we are lacking, that we have buried this sense of belonging, this sense of love and connection below a mountain of pain and fear and suffering. And the Buddha understood this. He understood just how deep the pain was for us. And so he ensured that while we have wisdom teachings, we have wisdom practices, he also ensured that we have compassion practices, that we know how to come through the heart as well. And while there are lots of different types of heart-opening practices, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, there's gratitude practices, there's forgiveness practices, there's so many different practices. The compassion practices, I find, are particularly helpful when it comes to seeing through the illusion of separateness, because they teach us how to face our pain and suffering. They help us see through the illusion of separateness so that we can feel that sense of connection and love that is here. And as you know, in the compassion practices, my favorite compassion practice, or what I think is the most powerful compassion practice, is Tonglen. Because Tonglen isn't just looking at pain and suffering. It's imagining that we're taking on the pain and suffering of others and we're sending back healing, comfort, warmth, peace. So we're not just looking at it, we're imagining that we're taking it on. And that is what Tonglen means, literally taking and giving. So as we're visualizing different groups of people, ourselves, and we'll go through this before we do the meditation, as we go through this, as we imagine, may I take on your fears and send you back peace. May I take on your worries and send you back a sense of ease. May I take on your pain and send you back a sense of comfort. As we do this, as we visualize this, what we start to see, what we start to understand, is that all that pain, all that worry, all that fear, all that insecurity, all that feeling of unworthiness, all that loneliness, oh, I know that too. That's my experience too. Because part of being the sense of separateness is that whatever it is that we are feeling, we think that we are the only ones experiencing it. And that's how we end up feeling more isolated, more broken, more not belonging in the world. But right there, we're seeing it. Oh, you have fears and worries and doubts? I do too. And so right there, we start to dissolve the sense of separateness. And we start seeing, we start understanding that all of this anger, all of this self-loathing, all of this guilt, all of this fear, it is all the expression of the despair of separateness. So as we keep doing the practices and we start really understanding this, it's like, oh, you act out of a despair of separation? Me too. So I'm no longer a bad person. You're no longer a bad person. There are no bad people, because it is simply just people acting out of this despair of separation. So all the hate for others and ourselves, all the judging of ourselves and others, it all falls away because the illusion of separateness falls away. And what's revealed is the love, is the connection that was always here, but it was just buried under this mountain of pain and suffering. And one of my favorite examples that I will always go to on this when it comes to compassion, so forgive me for bringing him up again, but Father Gregory Boyle, a priest that his parish is in the inner city in Los Angeles. He's been there for decades, and he works with gang members that have done heinous things, heinous acts, unspeakable acts. But because he has so much compassion in his heart, what he would probably use the terminology he would say is that he is not separated from God's love. He sees that these are acts of despair, of separation, of being separate from love. And so he's able to see past the acts and not judge the person, but he's able to judge the act, but to understand what it is that these kids need. And through compassion, through understanding, through really seeing these people as human beings that just want to be loved, that just want to feel accepted, that just want to feel included, they want to be a part of society, that he has taken hundreds, if not thousands, off the track of a lifetime of jail or a young death, but has given them new hope, where he's created industries, homeboy cafes, homegirl cafes, all of these industries, which they now have in LAX, by the way. They have a homeboy cafe, and every time I go through LA, I always stop and get a coffee there. And it's just amazing to see what he has done through compassion, not judging the person, but understanding these were acts of desperation. You know, we always like to think that, oh, I would never do something so heinous. We go back to Nazi Germany, World War II, and we think, oh, I would never have turned in a neighbor. I would have been the one hiding people from the Germans. But statistically, it's not possible that we all would have done that. And people that were very good neighbors, people that were loving their neighbors, you put enough fear into them. Fear is now the absence of love again, right? Sine caritate. The absence of it, they will do unspeakable acts out of that despair of separation. And there's another story of a monk that had been, a monk in Tibet that had been imprisoned by the Chinese for decades, tortured, horrible conditions. And upon his release, the Dalai Lama asked him to come and meet with him. And the Dalai Lama asked him, he said, tell me, what was your greatest fear when you were in prison all those years? And he said very humbly, my fear was that I would lose compassion for my captors. I mean, can you imagine that? We lose our minds. Someone cuts us off on the freeway. Someone looks at us the wrong way, and we're already, we're ready to, prosecute them for being the worst person in the world. And yet that was his concern about losing his compassion. It's very clear we live in a society that is without love, and compassion is what helps us see through this illusion of separateness, this illusion that we are separate, and this feeling that we are without love. And yet, every time we talk about, I think almost every practice now, I think almost every teaching, I'm always bringing it with a cautionary tale. There's always this shadow side in spirituality that is just not talked about enough. Because we take compassion and we want to turn it into a thing, something to hold on to, something to identify with, right? I'm compassionate. I have compassion. Or I'm using the word love a lot. I am love. I love myself, right? So we turn these things, we turn these movements, these concepts, these understandings into things. And then they end up backfiring on us again because they end up just bringing us more separation. If I love myself, I can also hate myself because there's a self here and I cannot love myself continuously. That's not what I'm talking about here. That's conditioned, right? The moment I mess up, I'm going to start hating myself again. That's not what I'm talking about here. Love meaning no separation. So the moment we say, I am love, I love myself, we're creating separation again. The moment we can say, I have compassion, and as you're referencing there, Sandy, the cancel culture of the world today, I have compassion for all of these people over here, but not them. Not what they believe, not what they've done over there. That's not compassion. That's separation. That's division. That's hatred. And it's not understanding what compassion is. That compassion is understanding. It's this understanding that you and I are no different. Given the conditions, whatever conditions this person is, if I were to have them, the same actions would have been happening here. And that we are all acting out, because it's so much the conditioning of our society, that we are acting out of this despair of separation. And so compassion being a practice, another condition, that when we are having a moment we're feeling down, right? And then compassion arises. It's arising in a moment of self-compassion. You're beating yourself up and all of a sudden you find you're petting yourself and going, oh, sweetheart, that was really tough, right? Compassion arising, it's still conditional. All of this is still conditional, right? So it arises and then it changes, right? Or you're with a friend who's suffering, they're going through something, and compassion is what arises. Not you have compassion, you are compassion. It's compassion is arising based on those conditions. And so by doing the practice of Tonglen, it creates the conditions for compassion to arise, but we don't want to turn this into a thing. We don't want to turn it into another identity because that just creates more separation. And we use compassion, we wield it in a way that is harmful instead of helpful. If you're trying to get someone canceled, if you're saying, I hate you because of what you did, but I have compassion over here, you are just adding to the problem. There is just more separation, more acting out of this despair of separateness. It's not helping anything. You might even have the right argument on your side. But if you are able to, if you cannot see that people are arising based on their causes and conditions, and that if you had their causes and conditions, you would be arising exactly as them, that there is no separateness between you and me, nothing solid and independent here. Each of us arising based on trillions of causes and conditions. If we can't see that, then we will continue to live in the despair of separation. So when we come in through the heart, when we come in through the pain and suffering of the heart, using compassion practices, it's just another way to create the conditions of seeing through the illusion. And I think it is important that we are balancing our practices, the teachings, that we are utilizing all the tools that we have, ensuring that we are not using any of the tools to create more separation, more division, to create some identity, some image out of it. But that the more that we practice mindfulness, self-inquiry, Tonglen, self-compassion, loving kindness. The more that we do these practices, the more that the conditions of seeing through the illusion of separate self arise, right? Because we can't force any of this. We can't force any of this. And I'll just add to your question here, yes, I would say affirmations. I'm not a proponent of affirmations in that way. Saying I am kind, I am strong, I'm enough, that's the separate self, right? Your true nature wouldn't need to say that. It wouldn't need to say this, right? So anytime that we are saying I'm strong, I'm love, I'm kind, I'm enough, all we are doing is setting ourselves up for separation, for dualism. If I am enough, then I can be not enough. If I am strong, then I can be weak. If I am kind, then I can be unkind. And it's not giving any room for the flow of reality. I reference this all the time when we did that kindness course a few years ago, and all those teachings are up on my teacher's page. I kept saying again and again, don't turn these acts of kindness into me being kind. It's going to turn on you. Kindness is the expression of the shared connection, right? While anger and fear and guilt and doubt is the expression of the despair of separateness, the acts of kindness are the expression of this shared connection, that there is no separation. And I was very clear to keep saying this again and again. Don't turn this into something. Don't make an identity out of this. If you can say that you are kind, there will be a time when you're not feeling particularly kind, right? Where you're tired, your energy's low, you've just had a tough day, and someone's asked for your help, and you're just like, I just can't. It's just too much. I need to be kind to myself. But inevitably what happens is we don't be kind to ourselves and acknowledge that, yes, I have my limitations. We start beating ourselves up because I chanted 100 times this morning I was kind, but then I had a really tough day. I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. There was a lot going on. Someone asked me to help, and I said no. Oh, I'm such a loser. So no, I mean, I'm not teaching that. I do not teach those types of affirmations. I think the separate self loves them. It gives it something to build upon itself, right? Remember, it's an illusion. The separateness is an illusion, so it's always needing to add things onto itself. So sitting around saying, I am kind, I am strong 100 times, who are we feeling there? The sense of separateness. We're not seeing reality. We're not seeing reality. Reality doesn't need to say I'm kind. It doesn't need to say I'm strong. This is all the separate self. So all of these things should come with cautions. I mean, personally, I wouldn't teach them. I think they get people further trapped into more identities, more separateness, and it just leads to more suffering. So no, I wouldn't offer that. I would offer compassion practices like we're going to do with Tonglen. I would offer kindness practices, being kind to ourselves, being kind to other people, but not making an image out of it. Right? I would offer forgiveness practices, gratitude practices, but not making an image out of any of these things, not making an identity of any of these things, not making them something to hold on to. As if I'm trying to hold on to something, what I'm trying to do is hold on to an identity of me as that thing. And that is not reality. And we're trying to see through the illusion. So this, again, just another way that we keep fueling the illusion of separateness and then wonder, well, why aren't I getting it? I don't understand. I'm doing all the right things. Why aren't I getting this? Because we keep fueling the sense of separation instead of seeing through it. Hi, Mari. Good to see you. So the conditions of Tonglen practice, of compassion practices, help to create the conditions of compassion arising. Nothing to get attached to, but the conditions of compassion arising, and not as a thing, not as me, but just it's the appropriate conditions. But we do, again, there will some teachers that will say, you don't need to do anything. You're already awake, you're already enlightened. And while that is true on one level, that is true, conventionally, I don't find that helpful. I find you need to do things. Here has been a path of needing to do things, but it's also been a path of getting caught up in the me doing things and then seeing that and making, I made the mistake of me, the one doing things, me, the meditator, me, the compassionate one. And then seeing how that backfired on me and going, okay, yeah, use these practices, but be cautious. They're incredibly powerful and they're incredibly helpful. But if used incorrectly, they just keep us trapped in the illusion. So I think most of you here have done Tonglen. Although I think, Yvonne, you were asking about it, and Alice, I think you came in to type out the words Tonglen. So I'll just briefly give a description of the meditation of what we're going to be doing. And I'll be there, Yvonne, I'll be there the whole time guiding us through the whole meditation. And for anyone that's unfamiliar with this, I'll still be there guiding us, but I just want to walk you through it. Oh, you Googled it. Okay, great. So that you have a little bit of an understanding of what it is we're going to do. So we're going to start with just a little bit of breathing, just the natural breath. We'll just maybe spend a minute or two just letting the talk settle in, letting any resistance to the talk settle in, anything that we liked in the talk, letting it all just settle in, right? So we're not holding on to anything. So just kind of trying to connect into the breath. And we're going to be focusing on the breath at the heart center. So the heart center, just the center of our chest, just below our breastbone. And you're just going to imagine that you're breathing in and out of your heart center. So you're going to imagine the breath coming in here and exhaling here, right? And as we imagine that, you kind of feel that sense of opening and relaxing there. Now, traditionally in Tonglen, and this is a Tibetan practice, Tibetan Buddhist practice, traditionally you visualize that you are breathing in heavy, dark smoke, and you're breathing out beautiful, white, clear light. A lot of people have problem with the heavy, dark smoke, breathing it in. And I would just say that's optional. And in fact, I don't even think it's necessary. I think if you're getting a sense that you're breathing in something that is a little heavier, right? You're looking at someone's pain and suffering, you're breathing it in, it's a little bit heavier, and breathing out something that's a little bit lighter, that's fine, right? Just that sensing. And also for some of us, especially if you're new to visualizations, it can be sometimes hard to see the things. It's just kind of getting a sense of it. And that's what we're really doing. We're trying to get a sense of this. So we're going to first imagine ourselves. So we imagine ourselves in our mind's eye as though we're sitting right in front of us. And we can imagine ourselves at a time recently in the last few days and last few weeks when we were feeling a little down, when we were feeling our energy was low, we were doubting ourselves, we were feeling unworthy, we were feeling slighted in some way, left out in some way. We were in some way feeling this sense of separateness, this separate from love. And so we imagine ourselves at that time, and then what we imagine is I'm taking in, I'm taking on that feeling of loneliness, and I'm sending back a sense of connection, right? So we're taking in the loneliness and sending back connection. Taking in the worries and sending back a sense of peace, of ease, right? So we're just imagining that we're taking these things on and then we're sending back the opposite, right? Peace, calm, love, connection, belonging, a sense of ease, of relaxation, of clarity, of healing, of rest. So we imagine we're taking it on and then we're sending it back, right? And you if you can see yourself there, if you have a good visual, like notice every time you're sending back that sense of ease, that sense of spaciousness, that sense of peace, that sense of feeling more relaxed and at ease. And you're taking on whatever remnants of the worries and the fears are still there, and you're sending back peace, love, connection, kindness, right? And so we'll do this. We'll just spend maybe 2-3 minutes there, just imagining it, taking it on, and sending back, taking on the suffering, sending back the healing love. If it works for you to send back the white light of healing love, absolutely, just do that, and just let go of the dark smoke if that doesn't work for you. And then we'll let that image fade away. We'll return just feeling the breath here at the heart center for just a few breaths, just to stabilize the mind again, stabilize the heart. And then we're going to imagine a friend. So just thinking about someone that you know is going through some difficulty, that has some challenges, and we're going to go through the same thing with them. Imagine taking on their worries, their fears, their pain, and sending back peace and love and connection. And again, I'll walk you through all the words. Once you get a sense of it, you can block out anything that I'm saying and just feeling that sense of just taking in whatever it is, that pain they have, and you're sending back love. And then we'll let that fade away. We'll come back to the breath again, just stabilize the mind. And then we're going to imagine a neutral person. So someone that you don't see someone that you do see fairly regularly, but you don't know them. So it might be someone that you pass on your way to work, maybe someone that works in a shop, or someone that works at your local shop, or a dry cleaner, or someone that you see, but you don't really know them. And we're going to do the same thing for them. We're going to imagine their fears and worries, because we know based on the society we live in, they have them. So we're going to imagine their fears and worries, send them back healing, peace, and love. We're going to come back. We're going to let that fade after a couple minutes. We're going to come to the breath. And then we're going to bring up a difficult person, someone that we are really finding some challenge with. Not the most difficult person. We don't go with the most difficult person, whether we're doing loving kindness or if we're doing Tonglen. Don't go with the most difficult person, but just someone that's kind of grating you a little bit, someone that you're feeling a lot of separation, a lot of judgment towards, or a little judgment towards, a little bit of irritation towards. Because again, you may not know what their worries and fears are, but for sure they have them. And so again, we imagine their worries and fears, and we send back the healing, peace and love and connection. And it dissolves that sense of separation, that story that we create between us and them, and they're just so annoying. And instead just seeing, they're just a human being. They're arising their causes and conditions. There's no one there to get angry at. There's no one here to have the anger towards that person. There's nothing here separate, independent, inherently existing, long-lasting. There's just the arising and the passing and changing of conditions, moment by moment by moment. And so the story that we tell ourselves about them really starts to melt away, and we see them. We see them as a vulnerable human being, one that experiences pain and suffering. And so if at any point during the meditation it becomes too much for you, if for any reason it becomes too much, just return to the breath. Just return, stay at the breath. And then if when we ready, if you feel like you might want to try again, or just stay until we move on to the next person, that's no problem at all. So I would encourage you to try to stay with it through to the end. If you are absolutely brand new, it might feel a little bit weird. It might feel a little bit odd when this is definitely not something we're used to doing. Anything we do for the first time feels odd. So I would just say to just do your best to stay with it, because the more that you can bring this practice in, and I've said this many times as well, we can just, as a way to constantly keep Tonglen as part of my practice, at the end of every meditation, I just end with a little Tonglen. I'll just think of a couple of people, and I just kind of go through, and it's not a long drawn out, but it's just a way to end each meditation. It just keeps that connection, and it reminds us too of who's suffering, of who's in pain, who needs to reach out right now. So the more that we're balancing out the wisdom and the compassion, the harder it is for the separate self to hide. right? Hiding in plain sight, as it often does. So, it just gives us more tools to keep seeing through that illusion of separateness. Okay? So, that's going to be our meditation. Any questions before we do start? We all good? Sounds like we're all good. Okay, so let's go ahead and meditate. Okay, so just make sure that you're comfortable. So maybe adjust your seat, because we have been sitting for, Hannah, sorry, how long? I don't think we'll do more than 25 minutes. I'll try and keep it between 20 and 25 minutes. Okay. So just adjust your seat. We've been sitting for 40 minutes, so just kind of adjust, make sure that you're comfortable. If you're sitting in a chair, uncross your legs. Your back is straight. Close your eyes. And just bring your attention to your breath. Feeling your breath at your heart center. So imagining that you're breathing in through your heart center, breathing out through your heart center. And we're not trying to control the breath, to force the breath. Just let it be natural. And just allow the mind to settle down here. So don't worry if there's still some thoughts floating by. It's normal. Just do your best to not give them your attention. Feeling that gentle expansion of the heart center on each inhale, softening on the exhale. And I want you to imagine in your mind's eye an image of yourself, thinking back to a recent time that you were feeling a little down, perhaps left out, excluded. Maybe you were having some doubt. You were feeling overwhelmed. And as you see yourself in your mind's eye, in this moment of pain, Imagine that you are breathing in any suffering through your heart center. So you can draw the breath a little longer here. And as you breathe out, imagine that you are sending back a sense of ease. So breathing in the pain, breathing out, you send back a sense of peace. Breathing in the discomfort and sending back a sense of spaciousness. So breathing in maybe a sense of helplessness and sending back strength. And breathing in all your worries and sending back a sense of ease, of calm. So just continue for another 30 to 40 seconds of just using some of this language to draw out the pain and to send back the healing words. Breathing in your doubts and sending back love. Breathing in insecurity, sending back a steadiness. Letting the words fall away. Just see as best you can an image of yourself here, feeling loved and supported, of being seen, feeling that sense of connection in your heart. Slowly let that image fade away. We'll rest here for just a few breaths. And now bring to mind a friend, maybe a family member, someone who's going through something difficult. And as you see them in your mind's eye, imagine that you're taking on their pain and sending them back a sense of ease. You're taking on their discomfort and sending them back spaciousness. You're taking on their fears and their worries, and you're sending back love. And just keep imagining you're taking on all their pain, their suffering, their fears and worries as you send them back love and connection, peace and joy. Notice they're feeling more at ease, more relaxed and peaceful through your loving care and attention to their pain. And slowly let the image fade away. Keeping your attention on the breath. And now bringing to mind a neutral person, someone that you see fairly regularly, but you don't know them. Even though you may exchange some pleasantries, they're not someone that you would be hanging out with, that you would consider an actual friend. And as you see this person in your mind's eye, imagine you're taking on all their fears and worries. And you're sending back peace and love. Breathing in all their worries. Sending back a sense of ease. Because even though we don't know what their fears and worries are, we know that they have them. We know how isolating it can feel. So we breathe in that sense of isolation and send them back a sense of connection. Breathing in their fears, sending back a sense of safety. And letting any of the words go, just noticing how they look to you right now. Sense of lightness, of peace. And notice that sense of connection you feel to them right now. Feel that in your heart. And then let that fade away. Return to your heart center. Feeling your breath here. Now imagine a difficult person in your mind's eye. So thinking about someone you know, someone that you have maybe just a bit of irritation with. You find them to be a bit annoying, unpleasant to be around. And then imagine that you're taking on their fears, their worries, breathing that into your heart center. And you send back a sense of ease, of peace. You breathe in any sense of disconnection that they feel. And you send back a sense of connection, of belonging. Breathing in their pain, their fears, and sending back comfort and ease. Breathing in all their disappointments in life. And sending back a sense of ease, of peace, of equanimity. And just try and stay with this as best you can. Breathing in all their fears, their worries, and sending back peace and love and connection. And then letting the words go, and just see this sense of ease on their face. Feeling the sense of no separation between you and this other being. Everything they feel, everything they experience, you feel it too. The only difference is the viewpoint. Everything else is the same. And let that image fade away. Just return to your heart center for just a few breaths. And as we come out of the meditation, with a big inhale, take your arms over your head with a big stretch. And as you exhale, gently lower your arms and slowly open your eyes. Thank you, Alice. Oh, Hannah, you're still here. Good. Okay. Oh, that was from... Okay. How did we do with this? Yvonne, are you still here? Just see. Oh, you're still here. How did you go with that, Yvonne? It's a little difficult in the beginning, doing this type of practice. It can be challenging. So just with anything, I would say, just the first time you did a breath meditation, that would have been challenging. But accessing compassion is particularly challenging for us when we're looking at pain and suffering. Yeah, it can be a little hard to breathe on the negative. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So just do your best if you can, just little bits to kind of add it in where you can, or just keep practicing. Maybe notice who the people that you're using. Like, don't use your most difficult time either. Because we want to build up to this. We want to build up to it. Oh, Libby, you were good. Okay, great. And you've done it many times now, Libby. But Hannah, you were saying also was a little uncomfortable with the 3 people who presented as difficult. Lots of mirrors. Lots of mirrors. Very insightful, Hannah. Yeah. Yeah. It's a way for us to remember that we do all have, we're all acting out in these ways that's very irrational but very much the expression of the despair of this separateness. And so coming in through compassion, really coming in at what's the hurt that people are feeling, whether it's through isolation, whether it's through being excluded, the worries of what's going to happen to me, the shame, the guilt, the unworthiness, like all of these things. It's like, yeah, there's no way that you are here. If you are living in the illusion of separateness, all of these things are arising. Some more predominant for others, no doubt, but this is a shared experience. None of it is unique to us. And that's so much of what it feels like when we're doubting ourselves, when we're feeling like a bad spiritual practitioner or a bad friend or just bad in some way. We feel like I'm the only one that this is happening to. It's happening the world over. The world over. Wherever there is a sense of separateness, there is a sense of despair. There is a sense of something's not right, and then this desperate need to try and fill it up, to try and fill that sense of lack that never gets filled. And Alice, just as you were saying too, and then, in spiritual practice, we'll come and we'll start chanting what I am, not realizing we're reinforcing the very thing that we're trying to see through. Right? The myriad of ways that we talk about every week in which spirituality has a dark side to it, where the ego has no problem globbing onto those things and saying, this is who I hope to be. You're not going to become anything. There's this high in becoming something. Oh, I'm going to become a kind person. I'm going to become a compassionate person. I'm going to become a Buddhist. There's this high that we get from the idea of becoming something. But then what always happens is the crash of it, because we're not trying to become something. We're trying to see what we are not. And in the absence of what we are not is revealed of what our nature is, of what's always been here, but that is just covered up because all of our attention is up in the separate self, believing I'm a separate, solid, independent, lasting entity, independent from everyone else. And so many ways in which we keep reinforcing it. And again, and I'm even just going to tag on again to what you were saying, Sandy, like the idea of cancel culture. So many people posing as compassionate people and yet trying to cancel other people for a bad moment. As though this is healing, as though this is helping the problem. It's not. It's just creating more division. And it's very troublesome for the outlook of society, because each side thinks they have the right argument and hates the other side. And yet the side that thinks they're coming in with compassion is in fact using it as another way to virtue signal. I'm so compassionate because I care about all these people over here, but I don't care about you. That is not compassion. That's more separation. It's more division. It's not seeing the reality of causes and conditions. It's not seeing the reality that my views are not my views. They are just simply like the causes and conditions of Meredith, of all of the trillions and causes of conditions of what she's been exposed to, the media that she's been exposed to, her DNA. Just every interaction, every absence of an interaction is where these views came from, not something independent not something here that I can hold on to. But when we do that, when we hold on too tightly, right? And then we think, oh, well, you have your views, so I can hate you for your views, instead of having compassion and understanding, like Father Gregory Boyle, where he had compassion and understanding for these kids. Oh, you're acting this way out of a despair of separateness. You don't need more punishment. You don't need more judgment. Right? And I'm not saying that people don't have to suffer the consequences of actions. Of course, there's a lot of that happening. Face the consequences of their actions. But if we really want to heal, if we really want to live in reality, it's about seeing through this illusion of separateness that other people are bad because of what they've done. I'm bad because of what I've done. It just leads to more hatred, more anger, more separation, more division. It's like when Nelson Mandela, how long was he in prison? 20, 30 years, something like that? When he came out, he didn't come back with vengeance in his heart. He didn't come back with bitterness, right? He came back with compassion and saying, we got to heal here. And this is why we all look at Nelson Mandela and we think, what a great leader, right? And how rare it is to find something like that. But, his time being locked up in the cell was not one where he was fueling the separate self, but where it sounds like there was some healing happening, compassion. Yeah, and Alice, just what you're saying, the idea of trying to find myself, right? Isn't this I've got to find myself, right? As though it's something outside of me, and this is what gets us, to some degree, again, I'll say, we get on a spiritual path, we're unhappy, the separate self is acting to such a degree that we don't like it anymore, and then for some reason, whatever the conditions arise, and we find a spiritual path, and it seems to resonate, and we start to find some peace on the path, and we start to feel less stressed, and kindness arising more towards ourselves, more towards others. Not taking it on as an image, but yes, these are the conditions that start arising. But then, we have to kind of realize, it's not out there. It's not out there. It's not separate from me. What we're trying to do is not become something other. This is where we get lost in spirituality. And trying to become my divine self, my higher self, my true self, my authentic self. Reality doesn't need to say what it is. Unreality needs to say what it is, what it hopes to be. Reality does not need to say what it is. All we need to do is keep seeing what we are not. We've got to keep seeing this. And we use the practices, mindfulness, feeling, pulling ourselves out of it, right? Accepting what's here, investigating, nurturing, self-inquiry, self-compassion, compassion practices, using all these practices, but making sure that we're not doing it to take on another identity. It's to see through the illusion of separateness. Anytime we're getting caught up in something, even on the positive, and I know people hate this. People don't like this message in general. It's much better for me to tell you that you can become something more, something better. The ego loves that. The ego loves it. Tell me that I can become a divine being, right? It's like, this sounds amazing, right? And so, of course, I could sell $1,000 courses based on that. Yes, tell me how to become my divine self. People don't like to hear this message. It's not about becoming something. It's seeing what you're not. And we have to be so careful, because even when things that appear, good conditions arising, how quickly we insert the self in there. Things are going really well for me. This is amazing. This means I'm set now. Look, it's going to keep growing like this, or something's going to keep happening. The moment, even in good conditions, you got praise from something, like, it's nice, enjoy the praise. You did something good. Okay, enjoy the praise. Don't get stuck on it. Don't make anything out of it. Because the moment you do, the separateness comes in, and so does the suffering. Just notice, that was nice. Let it come and go. Reality doesn't need praise. It's, again, I'm not saying deny these things, but don't get stuck in it. Don't make anything out of it. You did something kind. Great. Feel the sense of connection, of kindness, right? Because I believe that altruistic, spontaneous kindness is really that expression of our shared connection. It's like, yeah, that felt nice. Yeah. Notice when you're walking by someone and you're feeling stingy and you just don't even want to look at them. You don't even want to smile. Separation of love. That's for sure what's happening right now. Right? Let me notice what's going on now. Let me use that as a cue to remind myself I'm getting lost in this. But even the good conditions, like we have to be careful on those. The ego will just endlessly keep turning it into another image of me, another way to separate ourselves. And then we're back to the feeling of lack again. We're right back to it. We don't even realize how quickly it happens because we're so used to the lack. We're so hoping to fill the lack, and then someone dangles something in front of it. Oh, that's it. For a moment, we're on that high of it. And then it dissipates, but it's like, oh, nothing really changed. I still had the sense of lack the whole time. Right? Just my attention was a little bit focused on the hope for a bit. You're never going to find it. The separate self is never going to find happiness. It's never going to find it. And in stopping and looking for happiness for the separate self, what you find is happiness. Because it's not conditional. It's you give up the chase. You've given up the chase. Oh, thank goodness. That was exhausting. And I wasn't getting anywhere. It's like we're just like in one of those Super Mario games and we're just running, we're jumping to the next thing and we're jumping to the next thing. And it's like, I'm getting points, as though that means something. It means nothing, right? And then it's like, oh no, here comes the big, I don't know, something hits you over the side, right? The anvil, oh no, what's going to happen now? Yeah. So it's surrender, Hannah, and by the way, Monica, hi, I saw you come on a few minutes ago. Surrender, but surrendering through wisdom and compassion. Often here too, and I'm always just caveating, always just cautioning just the different ways. It's like, I surrender so that things will work out. Just surrender because you're not controlling anything. You're not controlling anything. Doing, no doer. Thinking, no thinker. Planning, no planner. I mean, this is the reality. This is reality. This is reality. Hi, Antonella. I'm glad that you're here. And yeah, that's the letting go, Hannah, because you see, there was nothing to hold on to. Not only was there nothing out there that I could hold on to, because everything is always impermanent and changing. There is nothing solid and independent here that could hold on to it. So that's the letting go is like, well, there was nothing here to hold on to and nothing out there to hold on to. It's just all changing conditions, flowing and changing conditions. And the reality is as well, for most of us, we actually have very good conditions. It's not always excitement. It's not always winning, big things or whatever. Most of our life is mundane moments. That's most of our life. But in the stop chasing for the excitement and the merit that needs to be happy, in the letting all that go, there's a seeing of just really what's happening. Just what we think of as mundane is life, lifing. And there's so many moments that we miss because we're always looking for something, looking to become something, and we miss what is right here, what is never left. We miss these moments of connection, of sharing with others, of how each moment is arising apart, interconnected, interdependent. And there's joy in that. And there's freedom in that. And not getting caught up in all that. Not getting caught up in the chasing of all this. We have to be really careful that we understand what it is that we're doing here. I mean, if you want freedom, if you want to know who you really are, you just have to give up who you think you're not. You have to keep seeing what you're not. And you have to keep seeing all the little ways it weasels its way into another image. And eventually you just exhaust all the images. It just exhausts it. Eventually. So Stephanie, You're just going back to Mandela. Mandela. You've studied and taken in what he truly did. In fact, one of your coffee table books was the one written about him. Yeah, he was the epitome of strength, truth, hope, and so much more. Yeah. Yeah. So Antonella, what am I talking about today? Well, we were talking about compassion and this idea of being separate from love, that all of our actions are really coming out of this despair of separation. And that also, just even in compassion, to be careful not to turn that into a thing. And Hannah, I'm just going to say it, just be careful of even putting the label of synchronicity on something. Just be careful. There's kind of a little way of I don't disagree. I'm not going to disagree, but be careful. Be careful. Like we talked about last week, whenever we give meaning to something, we're inserting me into it. And so, even, in fact, someone had texted me after last week's talk, and they had said, what do you think about when someone says things happen for a reason? Separate self. Separate self. If I'm saying things happen for a reason, I can make it about me. I may not know what those reasons are, but it's something special about me. And so we want to be careful. There's a flow to life. There's a harmony to life, especially when we get out of the way. But we've got to be careful. We just keep imputing things that aren't there and imputing them in a way that signifies some type of specialness about us. And so would I say, isn't synchronicity in flow? That's where I said, I'm not going to disagree that there's not, I'm not disagreeing that there's not some harmony and flow. I think, and it could be I'm just being cautious because I think there's a lot of people using the term synchronicity to, again, imply some kind of specialness, that this is about me. None of this is about us, me, an independent, separate self. The moment I start seeing it that way, the moment I am out of the flow of life, the moment I'm out of it, we just tend to make everything about me. And so I'm not going to disagree entirely that there's not, what I would say is that there's a harmony. There's a harmony to life. Yeah, there's a harmony. Yeah, I mean, Stephanie, what you're saying is that, in a society where we feel separate, we tend to keep imputing labels. What does this mean for me? Was that good for me? Was that bad for me? Is this going to be good for me in the future? Was that bad for me back there? What's going on with me? It's all about me. Me. And then we're like, why am I suffering? Because we're thinking about ourselves endlessly. And the self, and this self that is only propped up by adding more things onto it, because it's an illusion. The only way I can prop it up is to have, the only way I can keep this sense of self, this feeling of self, these thoughts of self, is I have to keep adding things onto it. What does that mean for me? What's going to happen over there for me? That was so special for me. This whole moment was about me, right? All these things came together. It was all about me, right? It's never about me. It's not about me. The moment you start thinking that something's about me, even enlightenment, awakening, the me that you think, the me that wants to be awakened, is not going to be there when it happens. It has to get out of the way. It's the seeing through the illusion of what you're not reveals what is here, reveals reality. Reveals reality. Yeah, and just in a bush nature, you feel, are you in Australia? Oh, I was thinking you're in Australia because you're saying bush. Oh, you are in Australia. Yeah, that's a very, the bush in Australia. So, yeah, I think in nature we feel very much in harmony. Um, in Tasmania. Oh, man, you are very far south. Um, so, yeah, I think nature, one of the things that's nice about nature is that, um, there's a slower pace to it that that we get more in tune with. We're less distracted by images and media and other things that, yeah, it helps us to be a little bit more in tune. But we don't want to we're not trying to make this dependent upon being in nature. Reality is not dependent upon anything. It's not dependent upon anything. And so you can be sitting in a traffic jam on the 405 in Los Angeles, 2:00, packed all lanes, and be so at ease, so peaceful, so okay with things. Just the flow of this is what's arising. This is life lifing, right? This is life lifing. And yet you could be on out in nature fretting about what you think is going to happen next to me. So I do agree. I think that, I personally would not want to live in a city. But yeah, I think being in nature is very nice, is very conducive. But reality is not dependent upon that. And we've got Robbie, you're dialing in for Tasmania as well. That is a small world. And hi, Abhishek, good to see you. Oh, and Henna, you live in a van. I did an RV from 2015 until 2020. Yeah, I was RVing. Yeah, it's a nice way to live. Oh, and so Antonella, you were saying, watch out for those devils in Tasmania. Yeah. So Antonella, where you were saying how to learn being more compassionate. So first of all, I do have other talks on Insight Timer on compassion, and I will put this up on my teacher page. But I'll just address this where you're saying you often feel that your pain makes you react and then you regret it, especially with people you love. Yeah, I mean, that's when we let the pain, when we feel the sense of separation with our pain and we don't even know how to bring compassion to ourselves, it just fuels that cycle. We start hurting others and then we feel the regret of it and we feel worse in our pain. And so I would, barring doing the whole Dharma talk, but just bringing some self-compassion in, just self-compassion. Just, oh, sweetheart, this is tough. You're in pain, right? Whether it's, I don't know if you said it was physical pain or, hang on, I'm going back to your question. Yeah, I mean, just try as best you can to even work with self-compassion. And then, I have a whole workshop on Tonglen on my page, and I have a talk on there about being kind to yourself. That was one of the talks in our kindness series. And just learning how to be kind to ourselves, giving compassion to ourselves is really where this work starts, right? That's why in the visualization we start with ourselves, because if we can't tend to our own pain and suffering, it's very difficult for us to tend to anyone else's. And so if this is the cycle, the pattern that's happening when you're in pain, to recognize, okay, first of all, maybe in the beginning, because conventionally we can do a few things that can be useful. Yeah, try not to be around too many people in the beginning when the pain is there. Give yourself the right conditions to be able to bring the compassion to yourself, to not make it overwhelming. So, just try your best to be with what's here, right? So also I talk a lot about coming in and feeling, being with our feelings, whether it's our physical pain, whether it's our mental or emotional pain, whatever it is, to practice breathing into it and being with it. Because often in pain, and again, I'm not sure if you're saying both physical and emotional. So if it's just physical and emotional, then, or it doesn't matter which one, we tighten around it because we're like, oh, this shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be experiencing this. We're always pushing back on it. We're having resistance to it. And so the more that we can come in and feel what's here, if it's physical pain, first I would always say, take a few deep breaths, try and breathe into it as best you can, right? And then really in the physical pain, really get as deep into it as you can. Like, okay, where is it? Maybe it's a pain in the back. Okay, what's the shape of it? Is it long? Is it short? Is it thin? Is it fat? Is it a circle? Is it oblong? Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it throbbing? Is it static? Like asking yourself as best you can to really get down to like really just the atoms of energy that are firing. Because the more that you do that, that's really helping taking your mind off of the pain, the story of pain, as you're coming into it. So you are reducing the pain in doing that. And they've done many studies on this to show that distracting yourself from it, pushing back on it creates more pain, but coming into it actually reduces it, even if it's just a little bit, right? Because even in chronic pain, we always experience everything is impermanent, even in chronic pain. So while we may not get a full release off of the pain, the intensity tends to back off, but we never notice that because we're so lost in the story. So the more that you can get into it, the more that you can really get into the feelings and really trying to go like, is it on the left side more or is it on the right side? Is it dense? Is it kind of spacious? Is it moving around? Like really trying to investigate it, really like you're analyzing it like a scientist, right? What you notice then is like, actually, now I can't even find it. Where is it right now? Right? So you start to notice those little gaps when they come that you may not have noticed before because we're so lost in the story and we think, oh, it's never ending. And the same with our emotional difficulties, with our mental pain, when we're getting lost in them. It's like we hold on to them. It's almost we're concretizing or trying to concretize our emotions. We're definitely making them last a lot longer. So the more that we can come in and feel them, and using self-compassion, oh, sweetheart, this is tough, as a way to just even break us, that initial breaking us out of the story, the trance of the story, so that we can come in and feel what's here and breathe into what's here. And, okay, there's some regret here, there's some guilt here, there's some shame here, whatever it is. Breathe in, open. It's okay that you're here. Guilt, regret, it's okay that you're here. Shame, yeah, there's room for you too. Let me just breathe some space, give you some room. Let me give you some room, shame. Let me be here for you, right? So we're bringing kindness, we're bringing compassion to these emotions. Typically, we're always trying to run past them. We're trying to distract ourselves. We're saying, I shouldn't be feeling them. And then they keep coming back. And we're like, why do they keep coming back? Because you don't give them your attention. And not in a skillful way, not in a way of really loving and opening to them. And what you notice is they move through you. Right? And what you'll also find, and I find, is that you just keep peeling back the layers of what else is there. What's behind the jealousy? Fear. Oh, fear. What's behind that? Oh, there's not going to be enough for me. Oh, sweetheart. Okay, let's breathe. Let's give you a little space. Right? And then it slowly it starts to like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So just coming to our feelings and emotions. What we're doing, quote unquote, on a spiritual path is not about denying emotions, not about denying feelings, not about denying the sadness of losing someone that you love, or the disappointment of getting a diagnosis of something, right, or of losing something. It's not about denying what's happening, but it's about changing our relationship to what's happening. Because if this is what's arising, if there's a pain in my foot, I have really bad plantar fasciitis right now. And so it comes up, right? The pain comes up, right? And so it's changing the relationship to it. Okay, what can I do for it? How can I, maybe I can rest it. Maybe I can put an ice pack on it. Maybe I can do something for it. But not to get in this story of this shouldn't be happening. Why shouldn't it be happening? It's happening, right? It's happening. So it's not denying the reality of what's happening, but it's not getting lost in a story. It's not pushing back on it. This is what's so important, that we don't push back on anything, right? You're feeling some disappointment because you were excluded from something or you lost something, right? Feel the disappointment, right? Don't just go, oh, no separate self, especially if there's still a separate self. Don't use this as a way to skip feeling something, right? Just feel the disappointment. Oh yeah, disappointment here, right? And as you breathe and you accept what's here and you allow what's here to really fully embrace it without the story of me at the center of it, right? It just moves through you and you're like, yeah, there's a little bit of disappointment there. And yeah, it might be here for a little bit. Maybe it was something big. Yeah, it's okay. That's okay. And so now you're bringing kindness and compassion to yourself, right? Healing in these times that we need healing, right? Instead of resistance pushing back and all of the, like you're saying, Hannah, yeah, the energy that it takes to push back, it's exhausting. And typically what happens when we get so exhausted, we exhaust our way out of it. But because we didn't bring compassion, because we didn't bring kindness, care, wisdom, it just comes right back again. It just comes back again. So it's not about pretending that we shouldn't feel anything. Of course we should. But 99% of what it is that we're feeling is just self-created suffering. Just self-created drama. Just stuff about me that isn't happening. Stuff about me that isn't happening. And me getting my hopes about it, me having my fears about it, me having, oh no, what about this about it? Right? This is where most of our 99% of our suffering, maybe 98%, there's no scientific study to back this up, I'll just say, it's up there in the high 90s, is self-created suffering. And we cannot be suffering, or how am I going to say, the suffering comes because we are thinking about ourselves. The pain, the sadness, the disappointment, that just, yep, those things just come and go. And again, if we didn't have those, when you get the win, when you get the praise, they wouldn't be as much fun, right? They wouldn't be as much fun. Don't get attached to either side of it. Don't get attached to either side. But just, most of the conditions, again, probably 15-20% of our lives is excitement. Really, got an award, you're going on a holiday, you got your favorite meal, something along those lines. Maybe another 15-20% is where things are really happening. You are losing someone you love. Someone's moving away that you love. Someone's, you lost your job. You're going through a breakup. Right? It's probably 15-20%. The majority of our life is just mundane, what we would call mundane moments, but that we think shouldn't be happening because we're chasing the what we think is the good conditions and pushing away back on the negative, on what we perceive as the negative. But we make everything the negative, or at least all the mundane along with the unpleasant, because it's like, no, something exciting should always be happening. And we end up missing life. We end up missing our lives, and we end up missing seeing just all these little extraordinary moments that are happening here, that are happening all the time. All the time. I see them all the time just with my puppy dogs, there's just these moments, and it's just such joy and such love. And it's it's nothing off the charts. It's just that kind of connection of being here with them, or a little moment they're doing something silly, and really just being fully in that moment, being fully present, but not me in the moment. Because the moment I put me in it, the connection's gone. It's gone again. Yeah, acid dogs can teach so much. So can cats. I mean, nature can teach us so much. And Sandy, you could get a master's degree in self-suffering. Oh, okay. Well, if you've got the master's in that, it's time for the PhD. In no self, in no separate, independent self. I just always want to qualify that because, I'm not saying that none of us don't exist. We all exist. We all exist. But none of us exist the way we think we do. This is the problem. None of us exist the way we think we do. We think we are this separate, independent, solid, lasting being, when the reality is that all this is just arising causes and conditions and changing moment by moment by moment. Enjoy the ride. You are the ride. You are the ride. But the suffering is optional on the ride. The suffering is simply because we've mistaken who we are. And we spend so much time on this path. I'm talking again in quotes, on the spiritual path, chasing our tails again because we're chasing what we are not. Reality does not need to chant what it is. Reality does not need to become something, be improved, be divine, be more perfect. It's the constant seeing of what it is that we are not, and pulling yourself out using all the tools that we have, but not using those tools to turn on us. Oh, I'm so mindful. Ooh, already trapped again. Mindfulness arose. That's just a condition. You didn't make mindfulness arose. That you had the conditions that you've been exposed to mindfulness, but sometimes it arises, sometimes it doesn't, right? Just a condition. Don't make anything about me. The moment you do that, that's not reality. That's more separation. It's more despair. It's more suffering. And hi, Peter. Good to see you. So okay. Well, I do have compassion that you're suffering right now, or self-created suffering right now, but you're working on balancing your energy and your emotions. So again, and I think that's fine. Just the way you're coming to it is be with what's here too, right? So yeah, you're in nature working on it, but sometimes we'll do this like, oh, I got to go for a run. I've got to go get in nature. I've got to go do this. Just make sure while you're in nature that you're just here with what's here. Breathing, right? Using the nice energy of nature, the nice flow of harmony in nature to be with what's here, right? To be with what's here. Yeah, there's things aren't balanced right now. There's a feeling of imbalance. No problem. We all get it sometimes, right? We all get it. Right? There's just a feeling of imbalance. And embracing that, all of a sudden, you've taken away a little bit of suffering. Oh, there's just a feeling of imbalance. No problem. Because again, we get this idea, I shouldn't feel imbalanced, right? And this is, again, the separate self. It's such an indication of the separate self. I shouldn't feel this. Reality is not bothered by a feeling of unsettledness, of a unbalanced of emotions. Reality is not bothered by it. So just let it be. Yeah, it's okay to feel this. But use your tools, use wherever you are, whatever works for you, yeah. Monica, you're saying, you woke up feeling very anxious. You spent some time in nature with your plants. That's good. But also be with the feelings, because there is no one that's anxious. There is no one that is not balanced. Those are just the conditions that are arising. But we make it about me. I'm feeling this way and I need to do something to change it. We're just feeling more separateness. These are the conditions for whatever reason. For whatever reason you woke up feeling anxious. For whatever reason you're feeling some imbalance right now, right? The moment you start saying, I'm feeling imbalanced and I need to do something about this, that's the suffering, right? But as soon as, there's a feeling of being out of balance. And the wisdom, to say, perhaps going out in nature would be nice. That would probably be a nice way to be with this. Yeah. But just breathe and feel it, because all day long, different feelings, thoughts, emotions, they're coming and changing, and they're going, coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. Feeling a little unbalanced in one moment, and then you're feeling a little more balanced in it. Just changing. Don't get attached to either one, and don't make any of it about me. If some anxiety is arising, some stress is arising, like, that's what's arising. That's what's arising. Yeah, that's what's here. Yeah. Okay. I mean, having this human body means that sometimes the nervous system gets into that kind of mode. But it's not something to make about me. And yet it feels good. Also, there's a nice feeling. Peter, were you saying, like, just being here is kind of, now you're feeling a little more raised. Don't get attached to that either. Don't get attached to that either. Because then this is what happens. I feel better. Thank goodness. Now I've got to always do this again. Just, enjoy it. Just practicing being loose around it. Again, we went back to the flow that we were talking about earlier, the harmony, right? The harmony isn't, I always feel my best. It's that you don't push back on what's arising. For whatever reason, these are the conditions. Okay. Doesn't mean don't do something, go into nature, you got a headache, take a Tylenol, like, of course, right? But it's this pushing back on it always, that it's as though it shouldn't be happening. Well, I can't be in flow now because there's a little anxiety. Who's feeling anxious? The separate self, right? There might be anxiety arising, but it's not happening to anyone. The moment you think it's happening to me is when the suffering starts to come in. Right. So Antonella, in Geneva, I'll get to your questions in just a moment. In accepting our emotions, feeling them, right? Recognizing them, anxiety is here. Yeah, it's here. It's here. Absolutely. You got to recognize it first. And feel, right? Just feel them. Okay. Just a little bit of unsteadiness right now. Yes, to heal them. Because it's always going to change. The way we relate to our emotions and feelings is how long it will persist for, or whether it's just, it just changes. And the more that we're willing to come towards them, the less we fear them. There's just a little feeling of uncertainty right now. There's a little feeling of unease right now. No problem. No problem. Let me breathe a little space there. No problem. It can stay. As long as it needs to stay. There's things working itself out in the body. No problem. I don't need to make anything out of this. So that when emotions arise, we're not always this automatic, I can't feel this. We always have this fear of feeling what's here. That, it's going to get worse if I keep feeling it. No, it's getting worse because you're trying to push down on it. You're imagining what it's going to feel like in the future instead of just being with what's here in this moment. And so flow, again, is this, and harmony does not mean just we're at this static place of just always feeling peaceful bliss, right? That would have to be a state without a body. That could not be a state with a body. I think we've all experienced with a body. There's just no getting around that. So it's the recognizing, but it's not me that it's happening to. It's not personal. It's not a problem. That's when it becomes suffering, because we're like, make it such a problem. This shouldn't be happening. How can I get out of this? Right? We're always trying to get out of it. Remember, we talked about this a few weeks ago. We're trying to get out of it. And I love the Paul Hederman line on that. We're trying to get out of something we're not in. You're trying to get out of something you're not in. The separate self thinks it's in this suffering of anxiety, and so it has to get out. Your reality, not in it. But we spend all this time trying to get out. You were never in it. Yeah, I mean, it's not just that we live in a thinking culture, Sandy. Thinking is definitely a big part of it. Language is difficult. No question on that. But we live in a very egotistical, individualistic society that is built on greed and fear. And Matt, oh my gosh, thank you for that very generous donation. Thank you. We really do live in such a based on greed and fear, and that's the separation. Yeah. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you. Okay, Geneva, I want to get back to you here. What about seeing others around you are in danger of losing their liberties? You don't know how to respond. This with others suffering. It can feel like privilege. Yeah, I would be so careful around that, Geneva. So have compassion, of course, for those that are losing their liberties. Have compassion, of course. Do what you can do, right? If you want to go out and protest, if you know how you vote, if you want to become an activist, like do what you can do. But make sure that you are not, in defending others that are having liberties taken away or marginalized communities, that in compassion for them or having, in not being able to see their suffering, because I'm not even going to call it compassion, if in that same way we look at others and we say, I hate you, and you're horrible, and you're the problem. And this is tricky. So this is tricky. Because there are, and I'm going to guess that you're in the U.S., and there are a lot of horrible things that are happening in the U.S. right now. There's horrible things happening all over the world, but there are horrible things that are happening in the U.S. I mean, when you see, what's happening to immigrants and the way that they're being rounded up, and it's in a very dehumanizing way. And I would never, I would not want for that to be happening. And yet, the more that you see the people that are doing that with hatred, or not having compassion for them, not understanding where they're coming from, fear, right? You could only do that to another person if you're operating out of fear as well. And if you alienate people and you don't understand that, they're acting out of fear, they're acting out of suffering, you're never going to get through to them. You're never going to get through. There's never going to be any change. There's never going to be any coming together. So what I would say about that, Geneva, and I think you said you'd also just gotten here. So earlier in the class, we were talking a lot about compassion and we did a Tonglen compassion meditation. I would be doing Tonglen compassion meditation, right? Before doing any acts, I would be doing that to make sure that you are really keeping your heart open. Hate does not go away by more hate. This is I think, Helen, or not Helen, Hannah, I think you were who was talking about that they read, Stephanie, you'd read the book on Nelson Mandela. If he had come out of prison with hate in his heart, he would not be the revered leader that we all think of. He wouldn't. Why do we love Gandhi? He didn't have hate towards the British, right? Hate never brings about love. It only brings around more hate. And it doesn't matter what it is that's going on. There's no justification for it. You are not seeing things clearly. You are adding to the problem. You are not taking away from the problem. But I guarantee the more that we start to see others through this lens of truly seeing through compassion, of understanding, everyone is the results of their causes and conditions. People have done bad things in the world. Everyone has done, not things like that, but bad things. We've all done it out of this despair of separation, the fear that comes with it, the unworthiness that comes with it, the guilt, the shame. I mean, just all of these things, the sense of lack that comes with it. And it's easy for someone to start pointing and going, they're the problem, and everyone latches onto it because I don't want to look inside and see the problem. I want to blame someone else for this. It's so easy for this to happen. And even the person that's pointing the finger, I would still say they are their causes and conditions. And if you hate them, then you will never be able to come together. And isn't this what we say we want? Isn't this what we say we want? We want to, when people go, I want to, love and kindness and no racism and no hatred and all that. Like, yeah, yes, 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 yes. But I hate you. And it's justified. No, everyone will say, I don't think a lot of people voted for this, by the way, for the way it's being done. Maybe some are, but it's their causes and conditions, and you're not winning anyone over with hatred. And we just become bitter and irrational, because the more that we start to see through the lens of anger and hatred, we are actually not able to be rational. We lose our prefrontal cortex every time we think this way. And we harden our hearts, and we think, I'm just doing it in this one area, so it's okay to judge them over here. Oh, you're judging in one place? Oh, you're judging for 3 hours a day, and you don't think that's having an influence? Right? You did a 10-minute gratitude practice in the morning and a 3-hour judging practice in the afternoon? How do you think that's going to balance out? There will always be people that are doing things in the world that are hard to fathom. I mean, it's just inconceivable that these things could happen. But there but go I for the causes and conditions. It could have been me. When I read Donald Trump's niece, who was a therapist, when I just read the beginning of her book, I got like kind of the Kindle, the free sample, but it got pretty far into it. I was surprised. When you read the conditions of how he was raised, it was just so clear. He is exactly who he should be. He's exactly who he should be. Yeah, if I was raised in those conditions, and then people were fawning all over me, and I had all this wealth, and no one was telling me anything different. Like, he didn't become this on his own. Again, you take a culture that's based in greed and fear, and this is what comes out of it. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that I could go back and say, that a lot of reasons for why we are where we are. A lot of the cancel culture stuff, Sandy, I think a lot of the cancel culture really put a lot of people off. Again, like compassion for some people, not for everyone. And then I would say that's just not real compassion. So Geneva, so the choosing not to act out of fear is powerful, but make sure you're doing a practice, because the fear is very powerful. Fear is a very powerful motivator. We will do crazy things based on fear. So you've got to keep opening the heart, bringing the heart open, opening the heart through compassion, looking at pain and suffering, and making sure that you're finding the right way forward with it, the right way. Yeah. Hannah, good for you. I'm so glad to hear you say that. Yeah, compassion and empathy for Trump. He's suffering. My God, can you imagine being in his head? It would be so painful. I don't like what he's doing. I didn't vote for the man. I never would. I can't imagine the conditions of where I would. But hating him doesn't help. It doesn't help. And I have to say, there were one or two things that he's actually done that have been pretty good about, about getting people out of prison. He did a really good animal bill when he was in his first term. There were every now and then it's like, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. Out of all the other things that I don't like, but he didn't come out of a vacuum. There's a lot of, our society, as we started out our talk, our society is filled with anger and hatred and rage and separation and isolation and divisiveness. I mean, it's filled with a lot. And what is missing is we were kind of couching this in this love. Without love, this separation from love, the love of love meaning no separation. We don't see that any one of us could have ended up as Donald Trump. Any one of us, given those conditions, right? And when you see that, right, it's like, oh, that could have been me. That could have been me, right? Don't vote for him if that's what you don't, I don't agree with 99% of his policies. I wouldn't vote for him. But I'm not going to add to the collective hatred and anger either. And I would like to see more Democrats really doing true compassion. I would really love to see this. I think it would have a much greater impact. But barring that, I do what I can do in my little corner of the world and do the practices myself and teach and hopefully through all of you, if you're doing the practices, because everything does have an effect. Everything does have an effect. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Peter, that it's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes. I do get that. And so also just recognize that and turn off the news for a little bit, because this it's fueling such hatred and anger. And we do have to recognize when there's like a limit to how much we can take in. The amount of news, the amount of information that we take in is unhealthy, is unnatural. And especially at the pace that he's doing things. So it's okay to give yourself a little bit of a break. And I'm not saying you have to do Tonglen on him, just doing Tonglen in general, and just a difficult person in your life, that starts to open us up, right? Right? So it's a good indication of our capacity and also where we need to do some compassion practices. I think people kind of think, oh, you hear about compassion and I'll get to it. You got to do the work. You got to sit and do the meditations and the visualizations. Yeah, and I would say, as long as it's coming, Peter, where you're saying, where is the balance between standing up for what you believe is right and being a pacifist? Like, yeah, if you're, if you feel moved to do something to help, like, absolutely do that. Just make sure that it's being motivated from compassion. The moment that hatred is entering your heart, the moment it's us versus them is entering your heart, the balance, you're flipping to the side you don't want to be on, right? So if you can do it in a way where you really can see, like, hey, what is it that I want? I want to end suffering. I want to help bring people together. I want to help everyone see that they matter, right? So how do I do this, right? How do I do this? How do I go about this? And so just that it can really help you, just you're saying, like, turning off the news a lot, being careful of the news sources that you're watching. A lot of it is just gotcha moments, and they're just, so much of our media, in fact, there's this term now, they call it rage bait, because that gets your attention. And so a lot of it's like not even focusing on the things that are mattering, that are happening. So being very careful about what your news sources are, what your media sources are. And also just recognizing it's very easy to get tilted over to the hatred and the anger side. So be doing a lot of compassion practices as best you can to have that guide you in what it is that you can do. If you want to go and protest, go and protest. And maybe your sign is the one sign that says something like, I don't hate anyone, including Trump. I just want a better life for everyone. I understand everyone's fears, right? Maybe you couldn't put all that on a sign. But maybe your sign is in some way gets people's attention to go, wow, he's not against us, he's for something, and he's actually for all of us. Because I think there is just this divide. It's either you're for us or against us, instead of saying, no, we want everyone to feel safe. And on a lot of these issues to feel like, yeah, there's room to talk about these things. There is room to talk about these things, but to be able to do it in a humane way, in a kind way, in a compassionate way. Oh, you're in Palm Beach. Okay, well, don't go on the bridge. Oh, are you on actually Palm Beach, on the island? Yeah, so, don't turn that into a thing. Don't turn that into a thing that he's always 10 minutes from me. That makes it even worse. Just notice when your heart starts closing up and you're judging. When you're saying, how do I find the balance between activism and pacifism? If your heart is getting fueled with hatred and judgment, you are not a good advocate at that moment. You're probably not a good activist. I think you might be doing more to hurt the cause than help the cause. And so just recognize that. Okay, what's the best thing I can do? The worst thing I can do is go out with hatred in my heart. The best thing I can do is to come back in, then do some Tonglen, do some compassion practices, maybe some self-compassion, and then see, what can I do? What can I do? How can I make this better? I would love to see, if you're so inclined, Peter, to get involved in these things, I would love to see you talking with more Democrats about this, right? Of saying, like, we need compassion here. We've got to see where the common ground is here. Not come in and just say, let's throw everything out, but say, okay, where's the common ground? Where are they coming from? Where's their fears? Well, that might be a little different. Instead of just pushing back on everything, try and find where is there a little thread of common ground here, and just to understand where they're coming from, where people that are supportive of those policies are coming from, and to understand that, yeah, they're probably based in fear, So how could I connect with them on that? One person does make a difference. I mean, think about the difference that Gandhi made in not wanting to project violence towards the British, and not just physical violence, but emotional or mental violence. We can make a difference, but it starts here. It does start here. We have to ensure that our hearts are open with compassion before we tackle any of these difficult issues. I think too much it's anger and rage, and people just run out the door and they add more fuel to the fire. They're not doing anything to help. Yeah. Yeah, George, that was a new one for me. I'd never heard of that before either, the rage bait, but I was like, oh, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, so I hope that this helped. Yes, and Hannah just saying, yeah, like healing. Trust in the healing of these practices. What our country needs more than anything, what the world needs more than anything, is healing. And the healing starts here. And so the compassion starts here. And then when the compassion is grounded here, then you can start to express it in your actions when you're going out into the world and dealing in these difficult situations, in these challenges. Okay? So, Alice and Matt, thank you both again. Thank you so much for the donations. And yes, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. Who sings that? Is that the Beatles? But thank you. And Hannah, thank you for all your words of wisdom there. And Stephanie, yes. Yeah, I mean, just, we say one planet, one people, and yet then we go around and start making it all, we start going into the separation and the division, right? That's what we start doing. So, yeah. Oh, thanks, Asa. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. And Michelle too, which I think is on here, and Monica, thank you. And who else is on here? Geneva, thank you. Maybe Geneva, you and Peter should be talking. And Antonella. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jackie Deshangsen. Oh, and Mariana, thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Oh, and thanks, Libby Lou. It's my sister, Libby. Thank you. Oh, Glenn, thank you. Thank you, Robbie. Oh, always good to see you, Robbie. Yes. So, okay. So thank you all so, so much. I will post the full Sangha on my teacher's page. And I am putting, once I see them go live, I'm also putting some contemplation questions with them. So I'll put that in the group page as well. So just for you to explore these a little bit more. Okay. Oh, Monica, thank you. Thank you all so, so much. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Lots of love and gratitude to all of you. Thank you.